All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to this specific part of the course. We are in chapter 3. Okay, we are in section D, the reading comprehension, from the previous article, which was titled Who You Gonna Call? About the A team, right? Okay, so just make sure that you remember all the details and all the information from that reading comprehension so you're able to answer and be able to respond effectively to this next section. So let's read the title there on top. So we've got reading comprehension, and then there's a little question there. Look at these following statements. Based on the information contained in the A-Team article, are they true or false? So we need to ascertain between number 1 to number 8, and we need to see whether or not it is true or false. So let's start off with number 1. Asselton is in the east of the country. Okay, so is this true or is this false? So if we go into this article here, it says Asselton County in Washington State is a beautiful place, tucked into the southeastern corner of this western state. So we can go back here and we can clearly see, sorry about that Asselton is not in the east of the country. It's actually in the southeast of this western state. Okay, so it's in a western state. All right. Then number 2, the youngest member of the group speaks first. Is this true or false? Okay, I remember there was one young man by the age of like 32 or 31. So let's have a look at this information here. Let's see. All right, so we can see here in this part of the article, we are the guys they call with when things go badly wrong in the county, explains Brian Grant. Okay, so he is 31 years old and he is the first to actually speak. And we can see this by the quotation marks, right? That's where the quotation marks start, where somebody is actually saying something directly. So he is the first person to start speaking. So that is true. Okay, number 2 is true. Number 3, the name of the group was created partly out of a wish to avoid embarrassment. Okay, so the A-Team, the name of this group, was actually created to avoid embarrassment. Now let's see if whether or not this is true. If you have the answer already in your mind, you can just write out and say it. Go write out and say it or write it down. But I just want to go through it for people maybe perhaps you're not too certain or you're not too sure. So let's look at paragraph number 3. So we can see the quotation marks here starting out from 31 is the baby of the A-Team. So we used to be called the Asselton Alert Team, so which became the AA. So they created an abbreviation out of Asselton Alert and created the name AA. But AA was actually something that they didn't want to consider because they didn't want to be thought of as alcoholics. So I stated previously in the previous lesson that AA is actually, it stands for Alcoholics Anonymous, if I'm correct. And this is a group in which people confess and they talk about their addictions of being alcoholics. So of course they don't want to be associated with that. They are dealing with helping people. Okay, so that part is true. The name of the group was created partly out of a wish to avoid embarrassment. Okay, number 4. Drunken drivers cause the team many problems. So if we go back to the article here, okay, we can see that it says Bryant, Grant, and Lucy Pagel have for some 7 years been at the sharp end of incidents as varied as landslides, flash floods, highway pileups, and even a bear that ran amok. So, not really saying much about drinking. So let's have a look here. So, forces of nature. As the 4 members of the A team gather for this interview in the sheriff's office canteen, what caused them most problems? Was it drunken drivers or the wildlife this region of Washington state is famous for? And then we go down there, he obviously says that it was the forces of nature, natural disasters, right? So, we can clearly see that they don't really say much about drunken drivers. All right. So, drunken drivers cause the team many problems. That's not the case, actually. What causes them many problems are actually natural disasters. Okay, number 5. The driver caught up in the flash flood was saved. So, the driver that was caught up in the flash flood, was he actually saved? Let's have a look. So, just last week, we rescued a guy out of his car that had been swept away by a flash flood. Alright, we can see there. Alright, and this is the same gentleman that had the Labrador dog that did not make it. So, number 5, the driver caught up in the flash flood was saved. That is true. Number 6, alright, the A team was involved in fighting the fire in the Umatilla National Forest. Okay, so let's have a look. Let's go back here. So forest fires are also a big killer. Last summer, a large stretch of the Umatilla National Forest, which is situated in the west of the county, went up in smoke. So the firefighters succeeded in controlling the blaze, and we were involved in rescue missions. So they were involved in the rescue missions there. So they were definitely involved in fighting the fire. Okay, so the specific question is the A team was involved in fighting the fire in the Umatilla National Forest. So they were not involved in fighting the fire specifically. They were more involved in the rescue missions. Okay, so this one is false. That one's tricky. It's actually false because they were involved, but not with fighting the fire. So number 6 is false. Number 7, the family of picnickers saved themselves in the end. Okay, so the family of picnickers saved themselves in the end. Let's have a look here. So many people are just convinced that these things won't reach out and touch them until it's too late, that is. This one family of 4 was trapped in a picnic area with a wall of fire. So surrounding them, they couldn't get out at all. We managed to beat a path into the area, and we were able to get them out without about 5 minutes to spare. Okay, so we can clearly see that there's no other example of that. Yeah. So we can clearly see that the family of picnickers did not save themselves in the end. They actually created a path for them. So they were saved by the A team. Number 8, Brian Grant says it's best to not think about those who can't be saved. So did Brian Grant say this, or was it somebody else who said this? Okay, so Brian Grant sums up the thoughts of the rest of the group when he states that you get to see tragedy and death as part of the job. You almost become desensitized to it. You can't save everybody. You just have to remember all the people you managed to save. So that is true. If we go back there, It says Brian Grant says it's best to not think about those who can't be saved. That is correct. Okay, so he reckons they think about those who they have managed to save. Alright, so we are done with the reading comprehension, section D. Now we'll move on to E. Alright, see you soon.